Yeah, so I'm definitely walking in the woods. So I love hiking. And I know I've said this a few times already, but it's just something about hiking that gives me a lot of peace, you know? Oftentimes people think that just going to church is what helps bring peace, and for some that is true. But for me, I notice that when I'm out in nature, I hear God most. He talks to me in the most interesting ways, whether it be the animals or the insect or just in the moment, just something that might download. I enjoy the show. So I just did another video. Many have asked, Bricesin, where have you been? Like, what have you been doing? Like, what's really going on? Really putting emphasis on me, checking in with me, making sure I'm good. So initially I had taken a hiatus from all of my social media platforms. And one of the reasons that I did that was because I started mentally challenging myself. And what I mean by that is I was doubting me. Couldn't be my authentic self speaking to you all if I wasn't going to be authentically me. I can't tell you all to do something that I'm not doing. I get that people do that, but that's not what I'm on. That's not, I'd rather be integral, I'd rather be honest than to pretend to be something that I'm not. And so what I've done in that time is I have revamped my community. I have done quite a bit of studying, changed jobs, built new friendships. Of course, that goes along with my community. And I've been a bit more focused in some things. And I think that time was very necessary. And it's not something that I apologize for. I think that sometimes you have to reassess your connections, your relationships. The ones that are necessary, you have a conversation with those people and you all see if you can find a common ground. The ones that are unnecessary, let them go. Because after a while, you realize that if something is toxic, it's toxic. There's no possible way that you can kind of coerce that toxicity out of a person, a place, or a thing. That's their own process. That's something that they have to work through. That's them. And so now that has become my mindset, allowing people to handle themselves and their own issues, I've been able to really work more on myself, focusing on myself, loving on myself, doing things that really bring me joy. And again, I'm unapologetic for it. There's nothing that I need to apologize for as far as that goes. So the stage that I'm in now, I'm in a place where there's so much that I've accepted about me. There is so much more that I love about me. And even in that, I'm still growing, you know? My community has shifted so much. At one point I thought it was very important to have like quite a few people around you. It was important to be known. It was important to be recognized and all of that. While there is some type of truth to that, that's not the absolute truth. Because some of that can be a facade. Some of that can be fictional. It can be all made up. Have y'all ever been around someone that you think you're in a certain space, but then you start paying attention and you realize that you and that person are just two different wavelengths, completely different wavelengths. When you do things, maybe they make side faces, or you talk about things, they shut you down, or you have dreams and aspirations, and they're the type that go kind of behind your back to try to make sure it doesn't happen. Some of that is what I dealt with, and I had to really push myself past that to not be in a space where I allowed that to control me. The only way that I could get out of that space was to let those relationships go. So why am I bringing this up? I know initially I was talking about where I've been, but I'm bringing this up because oftentimes we as people we're afraid to let things, people, places go because we don't know what life will be without them. The crazy thing is, once we get over that fear and we get to a place to where we've had enough and we want some type of change for the better, those people, those places, those things, either they'll automatically fall off or we just won't desire that type of stuff around us. And that really has been my thing. I've noticed that I've grown so much over the last few years to where I don't really, if it's not mutual and it's not mutually serving, I don't want it. If it's not genuine, I don't want it. If it's not the type of friendship to where it's authentic in its essence, I do not want it. I don't want it. At one point in my life, I settled for it. I thought that that's what I deserved. I thought that that's what it was, and that's what it was going to be. And I got to a place where I accepted within myself that it's only what it will be if I allow it to be, and that's what I accept. People treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. Some of them walk all over you. They will lie to you. They will use you. They will lie on you if they can't get their way. And I've encountered that from some. And I thought it was kind of interesting when dealing with it, because I was very hurt by the behavior, by the actions. And you know how sometimes you see signs along the way, but then you don't really accept the signs, so you kind of make excuses for it. That's exactly what I did. So my heart was so gracious to the point to where I made excuses for them. And then after a while, I was like, wait a minute. This is intentional. Like this isn't something that they're just struggling with. But when it's time to move forward and it's time to move on, it's time to do just that. And so again, I say to you all, whoever's watching and listening to this, let go. You keep trying to hold on to a rope that's burning your hands because they are pulling you. And God, and or the universe, however you want to refer to him, he is telling you, let it go. What you're holding on to is holding you back. It's time. There's so many of you that have a calling on your lives. You've been held back by your past. And that past can be symbolized by a person, a place, or a thing. You've allowed it to hold you back. Why? Because it's up here. It's been holding you back because it's up there. You haven't forgiven yourself. You haven't allowed yourself to grieve it and move forward from it. You haven't allowed yourself to bury it. It's time to let go. Sometimes what you're holding on to can abort your promise. Sometimes who you're sexually entertaining can abort your promise. It can get you to a space to where you're so caught up in that toxicity, whatever it is, that you can't see what's really happening. And I'm not judging, because years ago I was there. When you're so in love with someone that you forget to love yourself. And it's not even love when it gets down to that. It's infatuation. It's fear. It's abandonment. That's what it is. And so once you start getting to a place to where you acknowledge that, you deal with it, and you, again, realize what is for you and what isn't, things begin to change. You accept yourself and you accept things differently. You set standards for yourself. You know, the biggest thing I learned is that we always talk about setting boundaries for others, but we never talk about setting boundaries for ourselves. And that's something that I've had to learn, and sometimes still even yet, still relearn, depending on the scenario, the situation, or the person. The type of heart that I have, I want to make sure people are good and people are taken care of. and that people know that they're loved. But there are some people, all they know is using people. That's all they know. That has been their way of survival. And I've had to be open to the idea that just because someone is a user, and just because they're broken, just because they've been abandoned, just because emotionally they've been frazzled, and that they are distraught, does not mean that I need to come in and save them. There comes a point in time where they have to save themselves. And now that I'm clear on that, I've embraced the peace that surrounds me. So I hope the same for you. I pray the same for you. You get to a place to where you release that person, that place, that thing, whatever that is that has been holding you back, that has been holding you bound, that has been making you forget yourself. Oh my gosh. Making you forget your promise, making you forget what is owed to you. From the standpoint of what's a part of your birthright. And sometimes we only think of birthrights as being something that is passed down within the family. But sometimes it's a little deeper than that. Again, your birthright tying back into your promise. Do you realize that sometime after you create a soul tie with someone, that same energy from that person can linger around you, causing you to miss the very thing that is owed to you? It delays. And then for some people, it stops what you deserve, what's owed to you, what belongs to you. Think about it. Have you dealt with someone before that after you made up your mind finally to let them go, things started going well? It didn't seem like your money was funny. It didn't seem like you couldn't hold a job, or it didn't seem like your friendships were messing up. Just think about it. Who's a part of your life that's not contributing to it in a positive way? Who's a part of your life that's causing you to second guess yourself? Your existence, your purpose, the reason for your calling. What is your calling? That's a whole nother topic. What's your calling? Think about it. But anyway, I kind of got a little bit away from my topic, but I said what I felt needed to be said in that moment. So if you haven't purchased my book, I ask that you go ahead and scroll down in the comments. The name of my book is Be Real, Short Stories of a Survivor. And I wrote it actually a few years ago. It's a guide. It became an Amazon bestseller. I filled that book with so many different stories of things that I overcame. Some of these stories I'm just going to tell you guys in the video. Other stories, I didn't put it in the book. I went ahead and I put the link below. So go ahead over to Amazon. Check it out when you can. I would really appreciate it. Also, please go ahead and hit that like button and hit subscribe. And then share this video with someone that you think needs to hear it. This message could be something that really does help someone and encourages them to be their best selves. Well, that's all I have for today. But until next time, remember to build your body, feed your spirit, and nourish your mind. You have a transformation to maintain. Until then, remember, it's Bricesin.